everybody. Welcome back to the Gulf Coast Texas High School Football Huddle, brought to you by Citizens Medical Center. I'm your host, Chris Daly, and we have a great show for you this week. As you know, the Huddle is brought to you by Citizens Medical Center. One of the very cool things about the Medical Center is the Healthplex. Citizens Healthplex is Victoria's premier medical fitness and wellness facility. If your goal is to improve your health, prevent disease, help you get strong and fit, or just be well, Citizens Healthplex is for you. In fact, it's for me too. You'll probably see me and my wife there. Their 7,200 square foot facility has everything you need to maximize your enjoyment and get results. They offer all the space, equipment, and classes you'll ever need to get fit and healthy, including a large array of strength and cardio equipment, over 75 classes per week, a degreed and certified fitness staff offering professional instruction. Oh, and if you need to relax, try the steam rooms, whirlpools, dry saunas, and massage therapy. You want to lose weight? Hire one of the personal trainers to work with you one-on-one, and you're sure to see the results you want. Your journey to improved health, fitness, and wellness begins at Citizens Healthplex. All right, everybody, join me in welcoming Mike Foreman from the Victoria Advocate. Mike, how are things today?
It's good, Chris. I'm here in Port Lavaca, and boy, it's windy out here.
Yeah.
Sand crabs are out here doing a little workout, and it actually feels good, but it's pretty noisy with that wind.
Yeah, and, sand crabs don't have to worry. It's not going to mess up their passing game.
No, even though every time I'm out here, they practice it. For those 3 or 4, or maybe 5 passes they throw in a game.
Right.
If that many. But, they really don't have to worry about that. You're right.
Yeah, no doubt. And, you were at the El Campo Bay City game. Bay City gets the win. Now El Campo's playing Calhoun this week. If they get the win and Calhoun gets the win against Bay City, now we got a 3-way tiebreaker.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there are a lot of things that can still happen in this district, and not to mention, El Campo's last game is against Lavernia.
Yes.
So there's still some things to be decided in this district. You've got 4 teams that are pretty good, and that was let me say this about Bay City El Campo. It wasn't the cleanest game, but it was a very exciting game. I will say, it was very fitting for a rivalry. I'll say that, because it came down to the final minute. So
I was talking to Travis Reeve, and he said, they kind of got up on them early, and then, the kids stuck with it and had their chances. I mean, they had their chances at the end, but just came up a little short.
Yeah, it was very unusual because on its first possession, El Campo throws an interception. He scores, and they go for 2 and make it, so it's 8-0. Then on the next possession, El Campo has a 4th down. I don't remember if they'd gotten a first down or not, but they had a 4th down, and instead of punting, they tried to fake it. Yeah. And they threw the ball, and Bay City intercepts again. And, so Bay City drives down, scores again, and goes for 2, and all of a sudden, it's 16-0. Yeah. And it's looking like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a rout. And but then, this is so weird. El Campo actually controlled the ball for over 14 minutes of that first half. But they scored twice. They missed their 2-point conversion on the first one. So they're up 16. They're down 16-13 with about 35 seconds left, and they kick off. And Bay City runs this reverse where Zylan Williams gets the ball. And I want to tell you what, that dude is an incredible athlete. And he broke about 4 tackles, and he almost scored. And when they got him down, it was with a face mask. So Bay City, all of a sudden, with about 25 seconds left, has the ball, in scoring territory. And they didn't manage the clock very well, but they ended up getting a 40-yard field goal. So it was 19-13 at half. And then each team scored one touchdown, and El Campo had a chance at the end because Bay City goes 3 and out, and they get ready to punt. They were on about their, 20-something, and the snap goes over the punter's head, and it's end zone. Now, of course, the smart thing to do there is just take a safety.
Yeah.
But, kids, when they get nervous and all that kind of stuff, he tries to punt it. And he does punt it, but it goes about 2 yards beyond the original line.
Oh, jeez.
El Campo's got the ball like at the 28-yard line with about 2 minutes left. They had no timeouts, though. So they go 2 runs, get some 9 yards, and then they try a pass. And the guy was actually open, but the quarterback overthrew him. So then it's 4th and 1. And they tried a direct snap to a running back and stopped them. I talked to the linebacker that made the tackle, and he said he knew it was coming because, they had run it before and he had seen it on film.
Right.
And, so he was right there to make the tackle. He kind of blitzed inside a gap and stopped the guy. So, but that's how that game ended. But it was a really exciting game, and I know it's a tough loss for El Campo, but like you said, they've got to bounce back this week because they get against Calhoun. Yeah,
definitely. I was over at Bloomington again, watching them take on Schulenburg, and that wasn't much of a contest. It looked like it could have been, but man, just the sheer numbers of players, the Schulenburg versus Bloomington, and the excitement on the Shorthorn sideline versus the Bobcats, it was night and day, and that was before it started. So it wasn't after they fell behind. They were into it, and Bloomington wasn't.
Yeah, I think. Their bubble kind of burst.
Yeah.
I mean, when they lost to Kennedy, that kind of, mean, they were all geared up, hey, we're going to break the streak. We're going to make the playoffs. And boom, that happens. And it's only natural. I mean, I can understand that. But the thing about Bloomington that they need to remember is that they have only one senior on their team. And next year, they have a really good chance of making the playoffs. So that's the thing. They've got to kind of regroup. And I'm sure Lane Chance, their coach, will, I'm sure that's the message that's going to be there to them. So
and you mentioned Kennedy. They're looking like world beaters right now.
Yeah, I think Mike Jackson's done a tremendous job there. And, and I've said this before, his son and his godson, I believe, are in the 8th grade.
Nice.
They'll be on the varsity next year, so I expect Kennedy to be much better next year.
Nice.
So, so I'm just curious, what was your opinion of Schulenburg? What did you think about Schulenburg?
Schulenburg has a ton of skill kids. They're fast and they're talented. They don't have a huge line, so that's going to hurt them down the road. But if they can get into a shooting match, they're in a game.
Yeah, and I noticed they put up 31 points on Ganado.
Yeah,
and in fact, I was talking to someone that was at the game and said they had some other opportunities. So they turned it over in the red zone, and they did a couple of things where that hurt them. But so it shows that they do have some ability to put points up.
And I was talking to Coach Hobbs after the game, and the Bobcats really slowed them down the second half. it was just boom, 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 boom. It got out of hand, score-wise. But the Bobcats turned to a ball control offense, and I think he said there were a total of like 20 offensive plays Schulenburg got. That was it.
Yeah, that's a lot of teams are doing that. That's that's the philosophy of Calhoun.
Yeah, exactly.
Limit your possessions, and actually, El Campo did that to Bay City too. Yeah. I think I have to go back and look, but I want to say El Campo ran like 68 plays to like 39 for Bay City or something.
Yeah.
So if you have that big a disparity, you got to feel like your chances are pretty good. So yeah, that's kind of I'm sure that's what Bloomington intended to do. Yeah. And really, I think that's what Weimer kind of did to Schulenburg when they beat him.
Yeah.
Because Weimer runs the slot T, and I'm sure kind of beat him up inside and kept the ball away from him. So that's something a lot of teams are doing. They run those kind of offenses.
Yeah, I mean you have to when you don't have a bunch of skill kids. You have to control the clock. You have to control possession.
Yeah. I'm curious, like this week when the Calhoun plays El Campo, Coach Whitaker said what his biggest concern is El Campo runs a lot of misdirection and stuff. Mm-hmm. And he's concerned that his players recognize what they have to do. He said it's real easy for you to get out of position. And, because they throw things at you, like your keys, they'll give you false. Right. And that can that can confuse linebackers. So, that's something. But, that's going to be, that district obviously is going to come down to the last week, it looks like.
Are you ready to take your game to the next level? Whether you're an athlete, coach, or just someone striving for more success in life, the Winner's Workshop is your secret weapon. Yes, this award-winning course has transformed thousands of lives, teaching the game-changing principles of sports psychology that Fortune 500 companies, coaches, and top performers all use to win. The Winner's Workshop, subtitled How Sports Psychology Can Make You a Champion, is now available on CoachTube for a fraction of the original $499 price. The Winner's Workshop will help you master focus, mindset, and breakthroughs to make you a champion. Click on the link in the show notes or head over to LoneStarGridiron.com and click on the ad today to unlock your full potential.
Come down to the last week, it looks like.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm going to end up going to that game, the Calhoun El Campo one.
Yeah, we've got Gabe on our staff. He was begging to go, so I said, okay. So I saw El Campo last week. Yeah. But I may go, I'm almost sure I may go to Hitchcock at Yoakum.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good one.
But, Hitchcock's quarterback got hurt. And he's out for a while. So, he's out, but still they have so many good players. That, I don't know. They beat, of course, Columbus by 1 point in overtime, I think it was. So, that was a big win for them. And Columbus, of course, I don't know. I heard Rigdon got hurt. My understanding he's going to be out for the rest of the regular season, which for Columbus is really only one game because they have the bye on the last week. So that gives them an extra week. They play Houtsville this week.
Nice.
But, so I'm sure they're trying to get him back. So, it's interesting. I looked at the schedule. They're really strangely enough, one of the biggest games this week, and we're going to find out about Yorktown this week. Yeah, because they go to Falls City, and Yorktown's 7-1. they've won 7 straight games, but we really don't know who they've been playing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So we're going to see when they go to Fall City. If Fall City wins that game, it probably sets up to where Shiner, Fall City, Yorktown, and Louise. But if Yorktown somehow beats Fall City, then they're playing Shiner next week for the district title. Mm. So there is that possibility there.
Nice. Yeah, I love this time of year when you've got a game or two left and you know, everything hangs in the balance.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of, you know, I think a lot of things are decided as far as who's making the playoffs.
Right.
There's still a lot of, you know, seeding, positioning that can really make a big difference.
Right.
You know, I think Coach Whitaker at Calhoun was telling me here that if you, my understanding is if you finish first or fourth, you're on the other side of the bracket from Austin, LBJ, and Davenport. Mm. What you want to be is the other side of the bracket, because in that case you wouldn't have to play them until the quarterfinals. So that's obviously very important to finish first. So, yeah, that's one of the big reasons. Although, I don't know, you look at brackets, that can be deceiving too.
That's true. That's true.
You never really know. I don't know. You know, I mean, most of your, and I guess things have kind of, I don't know how to put it, but Industrial took a tough one last week, didn't they?
Yeah, they really did. That's one I thought they should have done better.
Yeah, and you know, I'm looking at that, they could miss the playoffs now.
Yeah.
Because if East Bernard beats them, they're going to have 4 losses, and Rice, if Rice beats Van Vleck, which is likely, that'll leave them with 3, and Bowling, depending on what happens in the next 2 weeks, Bowling would have the tiebreaker over Industrial. So Industrial could be in trouble there.
Yeah.
Because it's going to come down to East Bernard and Tidehaven for the title.
Yeah.
But, you know, 3rd and 4th is going to be interesting. I mean, I thought once Industrial beat Rice Consolidated, I thought they were pretty much looking good.
Right.
But that loss to Bowling, man, that was a bad loss for them.
Yeah, that one was a surprise to me.
Yeah, and of course, I guess there's no question now about who the best team in that District 15 3A D1 is. I mean, Edna took care of Goliad.
Yeah, that wasn't much of a contest.
No, and now I know Goliad is without Kenny Anderson, one of their best linemen. And believe me, he makes a difference. But Edna's just, I mean, they seem to be a lot more consistent this year than they were last year.
Yeah.
And that's important, you know, and of course they have tremendous athletes, good size. So
and they seem to be getting better as the season goes, not up and down like they have been.
Yeah, and I think this might be Edna's year.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm waiting to see. We have Bloomington playing Ganado this week. You know, I'm really curious. You know, we're still assuming everything goes according to plan. We're still, you know, a 3rd round with Ganado and Refugio.
Right.
But yeah. So I guarantee you, I don't care what anybody says. You know, those 2 teams are thinking about each other.
Oh yeah. There's some payback in that relationship, you know, that they're both wanting to get in on.
Yeah. So we'll see about that. But Refugio, of course, yesterday I was in Refugio. I was talking to Drew Cox about the 95-0 game.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I know people look at that score and go, "Oh my God, how can they do that?" But look closer. They ran 23 plays. And, what he was telling me, his first team ran 16 plays.
Wow.
And they ran the clock from the 8-minute mark of the second quarter.
Wow.
But what happened is they had 2 defensive scores and their defense forced 2 turnovers inside the yard line. So there's 4 scores right there. You know, if you take those away, you're looking at 60 maybe, and which is your normal score, you know, when you have a blowout. But, yeah, and as he said, and I've always agreed with this, I don't care what people say, when you've got your reserves in there, you've got to let them play.
Yeah, they need the experience, and you can't tell them, look, you finally get in the game, and you don't get to try.
Yeah, I know. I can see that. I mean, these guys have been practicing all year.
Yeah.
They went out and they get a chance. So I'm not going to tell those guys to take a knee. And,
right.
And the other thing to me is, if I'm on the other side, that's more insulting to me. You know, and I'd rather them score than take a knee.
Right.
Because, you know, at least it shows that you're trying, you know, and you have some pride about things. But, but they're still, I mean, I went back and looked at 2011, and they're nowhere near, you know, what they were in 2011. So, because I think it was, I want to say it was it 871, I think. Total, at that time was a record that Alito broke. But they're like 480 right now.
Right.
You know, I mean, they're not going to do that, barring, you know, of course they still have a game they play Skidmore this week, and then they finish this, which will actually most likely, depending on Santa Maria, Three Rivers, will most likely be for the district title against Three Rivers.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I tell you, there's like we've been saying, there's so much now that is, you know, not only do you make the playoffs, but that seeding is going to be so important. Yeah,
it is. So it's going to be, that's what I guess we're kind of looking at these last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll see. I mean, you know, I think that El Campo Calhoun game, if you go, that could be a good one.
I think so. And the thing, you know, you see this with, and I was talking with Coach Reeves about that too, is that Calhoun, yes, they always seem to start out slow, but once they get that system, because that system is difficult. It's not an easy system. Once they get that working, then they get much better as the year goes on, and you've seen it. You know, now they're knocking off some pretty good teams.
Yeah, and as Coach Whitaker told me early in the year, he had 3 or 4 of his best players were out. Did not play in those first 4 games.
Yeah, and they went up against the Murderers Row in pre-district.
Yeah, they had a good schedule, and you know, they were without some of their best kids, and you know, now these guys are back. And so they're playing, I mean, and a lot of those guys were in the secondary. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, when you miss guys in the secondary, that hurts you.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's your last line of defense.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think, it could be, I'll tell you what, depending on, I don't really know what Coach Reed's game plan is for this, but I was kind of thinking this might be a short game. You know what I mean? Both gonna try
if they're both controlling the clock, yeah.
Yeah. So who knows? It might be a very limited possession game, which means that every possession becomes more valuable.
That's true.
And you know, it's like I spoke to Coach Reed yesterday, and I was saying, I guess your goal this week is to finish drives, you know, and get points. Because, you know, they did drive the ball last week, but they just didn't get enough points.
Right.
You know, that cost them. But, so we've got some, you know, we don't have the classic matchups maybe this week like we did last week, but there's some important games.
Yeah, definitely. And as always, I want to thank you for sharing your insights and chatting and talking football with me.
I enjoy that. I just want to say one other thing.
Yeah.
Go Dodgers. I'm ready for them to finish it off tonight, man. So.
Well, I won't hold that against you.
Yeah, it's been hard for me because last Friday when Freddie Freeman hit the walk-off grand slam, I was up in the Bay City coach's office working on my story. But, so it's hard, but but this is fun. This is the time of year we're getting close. Even though it's still 90 degrees, we're getting close.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll cool down a little bit before Friday.
Yeah. All right, Chris. Well, you take care and have fun Friday.
You're listening to the Lone Star Gridiron Sports Network.
Hey, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I want to thank Citizens Medical Center for bringing you the Gulf Coast Texas High School Football Huddle. Please take a second to share this show with your friends and family. Like and subscribe on any major podcast platform, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Google Play. Wherever you find podcasts, you will find the Gulf Coast Texas High School Football Huddle. I'm your host, Chris Daly, and I'm hoping to see you at the game.